Today, we will talk about the changes in the abiotic factors of the ecosystem. So, let us have a review. An abiotic factor is very good. Abiotic factor is a non-living condition which affects or influences organisms in it through climate, soil, temperature, and topological features. And there are two abiotic factors that affects the changes in the ecosystem. And these two are the natural disasters and the man-made activities. So without further ado, let us now discuss the natural disaster. Natural disaster is a major adverse event resulting from the Earth's natural processes due to natural forces. Or we can simply say that this natural disaster is a movement of the nature in which we cannot predict when, where, or how will it happen. Now, let's discuss the first of its kind. A landslide. Do you have any idea about a landslide? Brilliant idea, students! Now, a landslide is a movement of mass rock debris down a slope. It denotes a down movement of rock and soil due to the influence of gravity. And when we say gravity or gravitational force, it pulls the object towards the ground. Now, our next natural disaster gives a direct influence or contribution for this landslide to occur. Do you know what it is? Would you like us to continue? Let's go. A typhoon. A typhoon is defined as a giant rotating storm that brings rain, wind, and of course, destruction. Here in the Philippines, we are very prone to typhoon and tropical cyclones due to our geographical location. There are about 20 typhoons that hits our country every year. Now, going back to landslide, what do you think is the relationship or correlation of a typhoon to a landslide? Do you have any idea? Very good on that. Landslide is merely influenced by the typhoons or the rain brought about the typhoons, because when there is too much rain and absorbed by the soil, eventually a landslide could happen. Do you understand, class? Now, let us proceed. Moving on with our third natural disaster, which is none other than an earthquake. So, who among of you have ever felt an earthquake before? How does it feel? Nice point on that. Now, earthquake is caused by a sudden slip on a fault. And when we say fault, these are zones of fractures or fractures between blocks of rock, which makes them move relative to each other. And when these movements occur, there is a release of an energy that causes seismic waves that makes the ground shake. Do you understand, class? Now, our fourth natural disaster is also caused by an earthquake nor a volcanic eruption that happens not inland but in the depths of the ocean. Would you like us to continue, everyone? Okay, let's continue. Now, our fourth natural disaster is tsunami. So what is a tsunami? Tsunami is a giant wave that is caused by a volcanic eruption or an earthquake under the sea. So if you can imagine what are this difference between a normal wave and a tsunami, imagine, have you ever been on a beach or near a sea? Have you ever seen how does wave in the sea moves on a normal day? Yes, correct. The movement of waves on a normal day is just forward and backward. Unlike in a tsunami, these waves move inland forward thoroughly and it produces higher and higher heights which causes a tsunami. So, is everything clear, class, about the natural disaster? Let us review. Our first natural disaster is very good landslide, to be followed by typhoon. And third is an earthquake. How about the fourth? That is tsunami. Now our fifth natural disaster is acid rain. Acid rain is a rainfall made sufficiently acidic by atmospheric pollution that it causes environmental harm, specifically to forests and lakes, and also on different buildings or statues. One of its famous example is the Statue of Liberty can be found in New York. What do you think it is? Okay, the color of a Statue of Liberty is a color of a copper, but due to acid rain, it becomes color green. And another example is for our forests and our lakes. In forests, due to acid rain, the soils that has nutrient that needed by the plants become toxic that it made them eventually deteriorate. On the other hand, on the lakes and the rivers, it also gives an acidic toxic to the water that makes it dangerous and poisonous to our marine life. That would be all for the natural disasters. Now let us continue with our man-made activities. So, when you hear the word man-made, what comes first to your mind? Fantastic idea on that. Now, man-made activities have an element of human intent, negligence, error, or other failures with the involvement of human man-made system or activities. Would you like to know the three? Let's go. Number one is the burning of fossil fuels. Burning of fossil fuels produces large quantities of carbon dioxide that traps the heat in the atmosphere, which eventually causes the climate change and the air pollution. So do you have an idea when do we use this burning of fuels? Very good. Examples of this are the gases that we use on our vehicles. It's smoke emissions. Whenever we burn something, whenever we cook. These gases are examples of fossil fuels that can harm our environment. Can you also give me an example of other examples of climate change? Yes? Very good. All of those are examples of climate change caused by the burning of fossil fuels. Our number two is, based from the picture, what do you think it is? Very good idea. It is none other than illegal logging. Illegal logging is cutting down of trees, transporting them, and using their products for economic gains, which is against the prohibition of the law. But why do you think it becomes illegal when we use trees for our resources? Fantastic idea. It becomes an illegal and prohibited by law because some of our trees are protected by the DENR or protected by the government and is not allowed to be cut. Do you understand? Very good. Down with our last lesson for today, that is throwing of garbage and other harmful chemicals to the rivers or sea. Why is that so? Definitely because it emanates the destruction in the bodies of water and threatens the supply of fish and the other organisms that lives in it. Another idea. We all know that humans can live without food for a week or a month, but we can't live without water. When there is a river, there is an ocean, it flows. And definitely it flows where our water is too. One famous example of a severely damaged ocean here in our country, or bodies of water here in our country, is the infamous Manila Bay. We all know that there are a lot of programs that have been done just to restore it, but up until now, success has never been, is not yet seen rather. So to sum it up, ecosystem is connected. All of organisms in it are connected. So if we make harm on one part of it, it will give a direct impact to everything or every species that lives in it. That would be all for our lesson for today. This has been Marjorie Ann D. Tubilan, your applicant for science teacher for public school year 2021-2022. Thank you.